Hmm. Hello and welcome to At the Redline podcast. My name's Alec Gonzalez. I'm a life coach and love to work with salespeople. I have Kristi Kerkuta, who works with a real estate agency here in Spokane. We were talking earlier; it's kind of gotten bigger, which is kind of exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing I always like to talk about is childhood. What was it like growing up? What was it like to be a little for you?
Little was tumultuous.
Yeah.
Little was somewhat scary, unpredictable, and not always pleasant.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that shape you? I mean, looking back on it, 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 the reoccurring theme that I keep having on this podcast
Yeah.
is people talking about childhood and sharing how hard it was, and then talking about how they're not ungrateful.
Oh,
That
not at all. Yeah.
they look at themselves and go, I'm pretty awesome the way I am. And I realize that the hardship of childhood has created something really gritty and strong in me.
100%.
Yeah. Can
Absolutely.
you talk about that?
Yeah. So for sure. Um, Sometimes, I've done a lot of work on the childhood trauma stuff, and so it doesn't really resonate with me anymore, which is where the conversation, it's not necessarily uncomfortable, it's just not my story anymore. It definitely
Okay.
shaped who I am today, but it's not how I need to show up anymore.
Yeah.
So the tumultuous childhood led me to pregnancy at 16. And pregnancy at 16, probably one of the best things that ever happened to me was I went to an OBGYN for the first time, not knowing what that was or what I was supposed to do, and to discover that I was pregnant. And when I discovered that I was pregnant, the beautiful blessing out of that lesson was I was told that I didn't have any options except an abortion.
Oh.
And my 16-year-old found some strength inside of myself that I'd never found before, and asked for another OBGYN's opinion. And then they kind of told me that I had some options. And once I found
Wow.
out that I had some options, ultimately I decided to proceed forward with that birth. And so I have adult children. At this point, my children are all married, and I actually just found out that I have a third grandbaby on the way.
Oh,
So
nice.
at this point, life has just been thriving. But 16 was definitely a turning point for me because that's when I found out that I got to be an adult. And when I found out that I got to be an adult is when I actually decided for the first time that I would go to college and I would actually do something with my life. And prior to that, there really wasn't any drive to do anything.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I should have a follow-up question to that. I said you caught me off guard with
Yeah.
that. Becoming an adult at 16, and what's interesting is I think about this mindset all the time about ambition and lack of it, and desire for ambition, and how do you create it. I was talking to a mother not too long ago who wanted me to coach her son who was in his 20s and has no ambition. And I was thinking, what would it look like to, to coach ambition? And of course, I have my own thoughts, but if you had someone in your life and you were uh, trying to help them create ambition for themselves, what would you say to them?
I think that's a pretty loaded question
It
because I
is.
think that everybody's ambition is found a different way. And what I have discovered through this path is, and I have done really incredible things with my life at this point in time. So I don't, have you ever heard of Tony Robbins?
Oh my gosh, yes. I
Okay.
love that guy.
So Tony Robbins has a program called Platinum Partners. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if you've ever heard of that.
No, but I've only recently really embraced him.
Okay.
He was around when I was in my 20s and
Yep.
30s, right? But
Yeah.
I think I told you earlier that yeah, oh, go ahead.
Uh, so, so Tony Robbins has a program not a pitch here, but it really dramatically changed my
I
life.
love Tony Robbins.
Um,
If you guys want to go see Tony Robbins, go see
by
Tony
all
Robbins.
means.
He is awesome.
So he has a program called Platinum Partners, and there's about every year around the world, maybe 300 to 400 platinum partners, and you travel with them around the world, and you have access to all of their high-level coaching and all of those different kinds of things. And so, one of the things that I have really realized inside of really high level thinking business owners is everybody had what I have kind of called my watch me moment. And watch me moment was when you're in some of your deepest despair and something hits you. And it's just like the magic starts to come alive inside of you all of a sudden. And there's never been that drive, there's never been that passion, but all of a sudden you're just like, watch me. Like the
Yeah,
world can't stop me. And all of
I
a sudden
love
you
it.
find this like, and maybe you don't know at that moment where the energy is, and you don't know what the energy is directed towards. But generally, when you get that watch me moment and you're in that just like deepest, darkest hour, and somebody says you can't, or, whatever the words are that really ignite that passion inside of you, I have noticed that most successful people have been through that watch me moment. And whether they acknowledge it or not, and they know that moment in their life, I definitely, when I'm talking to people, ask them to dig in. And like you're saying, the trials, the tribulations of life, we all have them. The story is different, but the patterns are different, but the outcome is the same, right? And so then what is it? Like what's the twist there that changes it to the watch me moment?
What an amazing. That was amazing. Ollie, what's funny is I'm always trying to make good content.
Yeah,
Every time I do one of these interviews, I'm
yeah,
always thinking, what's going to be the good content? What's going to be the 1 minute video? The
yeah.
the really amazing short, and that's so cool.
Yeah, and so I think there's a dichotomy that plays in life here, because just because you get your watch me moment doesn't mean life is now smooth sailing,
Oh, for sure.
right? All that really means is like you found your passion.
Right.
And so you're saying like you meet with the parents and they're like, "Can you coach my children because they're kind of a bump on the log right now, right?"
Yeah.
Where's the ambition? Well, the ambition comes from passion, and passion's not always directed.
Right.
And so then just trying to find inside of that once you find, so kind of like, I guess my answer would be to some degree is coaching to find out what is that watch me moment? Has it happened? Maybe
Yeah.
it hasn't happened yet. Maybe they're not ready to bloom yet. Maybe they're not ready to do their discovering in life. But just because that passion becomes alive doesn't mean you start making the best decisions. You still have to navigate life and
Yeah.
everything that life gets to put you through to learn all those trials and tribulations. And the path is the best part of the journey, actually. So
Isn't that true?
I think, as far as kind of mamas and helping, especially with the children right now, with all of the AI and the, all the different social media and all the different things, and this kind of like failure to launch that we've heard about, and the 27-year-old still in the basement, and et cetera, is just really encouraging them to discover themselves instead of like, rehashing it out as a lack of ambition. Is what are their passions, and
Uh-huh.
continuing to ask the questions.
Good. Good. Man, that's so interesting. Um, we talked briefly about this. Obviously, I'm a Christian. I love to talk about faith in God and
Absolutely.
Jesus, and always like to give people a chance to talk about the arc of their faith and how that's played out over time. And you said you'd be willing to talk
Yeah,
about it.
let's go. Let's go. So, family was raised Catholic,
Uh-huh.
and we and my brother actually went to, I don't know how familiar you are with the Catholic schools here, but St. John Vianney, and very prevalent in especially my grandparents' life, devout Catholic. And it was always somewhat questioned by my mom. It was
Huh.
somewhat always kind of, what are some of the rules that don't make sense, and what are some of the things that, we can't get the answers out of the Bible. And she was a true believer, and God was always very present in our lives, and God was always positively spoken about. However, the trials and the tribulations, you're kind of always asking like, why does God hate me? Like, why do I have to go through this? Why is this life so painful? And, it's a question for me that was always ingrained in like, I don't understand it. There's this big, beautiful God who's creating all of this, why does he want us to suffer so much? Like, and just so much inside of that suffering. And a beautiful portion of my life, best, worst day of my life. My mom, she sobered when I was 21 and became my best friend when I was 21 years old. And again, if we just remember math, that means I had a 5-year-old at that point in time, and I was pregnant with my second. And I was in a relationship at that point, and life was going really well for me as a 21-year-old. I was going to school to be a teacher, and life was just, it really seemed like it was kind of on a trajectory that was going to work. And so I had to have some really hard boundaries with my mom. And again, of course, my dad, he was not here. And so she did end up sobering, and she became my best friend. And unfortunately, in 2018, I ended up losing my mom. And her path led us down a very spiritual path. Through her passing, she had a very rare pancreatic cancer, and we had about a year with her through her passing. And spiritually is really where I became alive for the first time in my life, and really cemented my relationship with God. And we, even I remember when my mom was in hospice the last couple of days, we were discussing still kind of like, she had this idea of like, should I be baptized? Should I, like, what does all this look like? And what's my relationship with God? And where do you go after this? And, it's your last hours on earth. And, my mom, I'm sorry, this is a really gruesome story, but it is part of my story. My mom's superior mesenteric artery ruptured. And so what that means is your blood can no longer return into your system. It comes out of your mouth. And so she had literally on November 6th was pumping blood out of her mouth on her passing, and they told me she wouldn't make it through the night. And she did. She did. And my mom was a miracle, and she kept on making it, and she kept on making it, and she kept on making it until she passed on November 11th at 11 a.m. And when my mom passed on 11/11 at 11 a.m., she became my guiding light. And ever since, she opened up my vision to God, to my relationship with God, my spiritual path that I'm on, and God is my everything. He's my divine light. It's my path every single day. And I definitely can get in and make things mucky myself. I always call it my Kristi brain. If Kristi brain wants to get in there and really make things muddled and make them complicated and confusing, I can definitely say Kristi brain is in charge. And if I know that I'm being divinely guided, it's smooth and it's easy, and it feels like walking in heaven. It's a beautiful path when you allow God to take the path.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. So much to go with. I could ask more questions, but I think we'll pivot into your practice, your business, your real estate agent. What was the origin story of going into real estate?
So I went to school to be a teacher. My mom was a school teacher. And the funny story is I pass out at the sight of blood and needles. And so I come from, my brother's a doctor. My dad's in the medical world. My mom was a nurse. She was a science teacher. Everybody's science and medical. And since I don't do blood and needles, I had to find something else. So I went to school to be a teacher, was working on my K-8 endorsement. And I was a server at a restaurant. And one of my regulars suggested that I got my real estate license. So I tried it, and I sold for 6 months, and I never became a teacher. Well, I mean, kind of, because you obviously educate inside of real estate, but I've never been in a classroom.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was in February. That'll be 20 years ago. And then I've been selling real estate here in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene for 20 years, and
nice.
a beautiful, blessed business.
Good. What would you say is your superpower in selling and sales?
My belief in God. I mean, it's super, like, I I just know that I'm always aligned with the best people and the best transactions, and
Uh-huh.
anything that doesn't serve me doesn't stick with me.
Uh-huh.
So we have no problem saying no to clientele that is not supposed to work with us. And I say I have a business, a team, and we have been word of mouth referral only for probably about 15 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
so our clientele just treats us so well. We are
Okay.
so blessed by our clientele.
Um, my next question is going to be hard for you to answer, I think. Um, what is a part of the selling process that you struggle the most with?
None.
I knew you were going to say that.
None.
Hey, I wanted to stop this video and just say a lot of salespeople I know, they know there's another level. They know the product, they like the people, they really believe in what they sell. But when the pressure hits, a lot of salespeople, they lose their conviction, they lose their nerve, they hesitate on cold outreach, they lay down or even back off with a simple objection. They fail to confidently lead people towards a decision. I coach salespeople. Send me a quick text 509-999-3305. I'm in your corner. Let's get together.
I love it. It's exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Uh-huh.
It's my calling 100%. I love it. I love the people. I love the clientele that I work with. I love the challenges that we face every day.
Uh-huh.
When I say I love it, doesn't mean that it's not difficult.
What's difficult?
What's difficult? Everything. Everything, which is the beautiful.
Pick one or two.
I know the beautiful part. I mean, everything. I mean, it can be, clashes between the real estate agents. It can be clashes between the clients. I mean, sometimes it's the buyer and the seller clashing. Sometimes it's the husband and the wife clashing. I mean, we've
Right.
had everything under the sun. So it is just always
Interesting.
a game of psychology and thinking 10 steps ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Um, you said that you have all referral clients. So having someone call because they saw the video,
Yeah.
is that allowed? I mean,
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah. Of
Okay.
course.
What would be a perfect client? What would be a home run for you? Someone's watching this, they're seeing you and they're thinking, "Man, I really like that person and we need to sell our house." But our house is a mansion, our house is on the lake, our house is a tiny little 2 bedroom, 1 bath. I mean, who's the perfect client? Who do you really
Everything
want?
in between.
Oh, really?
We
Okay.
do everything from like a land listing, maybe $70,000 to
Okay.
multi-millions to waterfront to investment properties. I
Okay.
personally have an investment portfolio as well, so I speak and understand multifamily very well.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Do you
yeah,
work with investors? A lot
yep,
of my
absolutely.
I'm sort of neck deep in the investor space here in
Ah,
Spokane. Go to a bunch of
That's the
investor
business
meetings.
owners.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, anything that is multifamily, not as much in the commercial world as far as just like specifically like commercial
Uh-huh.
space, but residential multifamily,
Hmm.
yes, absolutely.
Can you do anything with off-market stuff? Are you
Yes, quasi, and the market is Washington State just changed some laws June 11th. And June 11th, with the new law that comes into place, you cannot sell anything off market.
you meaning?
Licensed real estate agents in Washington State.
Okay, so what does that mean for you?
It's really an interesting. I don't know. It's a brand new law, so we'll see.
Your
We'll
legal
see.
department's looking into it.
That's right. That's right. It's really interesting because I mean, it's everything. The game is going to change a little bit. Like, let's say I just had a property staged and the stagers are at the property and they want to take pictures of everything that they just came in and staged, and then they tag me in a video. You can no longer do that. And it's not just like an MLS enforced rule. It is now a Washington state law as of June 11th. So if a photographer comes out and they're doing all the lovely videos and all the beautiful things that they do, and they want to say like, "We're so excited, Kristi Kerkuta has this property coming, this week," or whatever, we can't do that. So we'll see what changes.
I did you see my draw drop? I literally cannot believe what you just said.
It's always changing.
It's so funny. So I told you earlier that I've struggled to bring on pastors
Yeah.
as clientele. Well, my first movement was to move into the real estate development,
Oh, yeah.
a real estate investors space, because there were meetings. There were monthly meetings of
Yep.
investor meetings, and some of my best friends, Kelly Clark runs a
Yeah.
meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and Yvette ran another meeting, and I would go up to the one in Coeur d'Alene, and there's one in Sandpoint too, and so I would go and talk to them about coaching and
Yeah.
masterminds and stuff like that. And I still go to the meetings, but man, that is shocking
Yeah.
news. And I know they know about it.
Yep.
I think Kelly even mentioned something about this law coming up.
Yeah.
So that
We'll
is
see what ends up
shocking.
happening, especially in like the wholesale space and some of those.
Yeah.
So it'll be different. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But
All right. Okay, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they watch the video and want to say hi or reach out? We'll put your name and number down here. If phone number is the best way, we'll just use the phone number. If you want to give them an email address, we can do that too.
phone number. I think as a real estate agent, your number's plastered on like every single billboard, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
All right.
So you can reach me, Kristi Kerkuta, Real Brokers. River City Realtors is our team name. You can call me directly at 509-216-9714.
Nice, nice. Well, thanks for coming on the
Yeah.
podcast. I'm Alec with Coaching the Redline. If you're in sales, I'd love to talk. 509-999-3305. Thanks so much. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Oh, I forgot. If you haven't liked the video, subscribe to the channel.
You're like,